Hey everybody, we're going to get started in a second. If you can hear me, please say something in the question box. Also, you should be able to see Mike's screen. It says 2020 7th edition codes revisions. If you can see this stuff and hear me, please say something. There's 42 of you out there. All right, here we go. Thanks, Scott, Keith, Chris, Wes, Craig, Tommy, Juan, Tim, Asia, Renato. Haven't seen you in a while, or haven't talked to you in a while, rather. I don't answer the phones anymore. Michael, Alexander. All right, cool. I'm gonna get started then. Thank you for saying that. So let me pull up my script here so that I can give you the news. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar presentation hosted by the American Institute of Building Design. My name is Garrett. I am the Communications Director for AIBD. You can ask any questions in the box that you just typed into, and we're going to take questions at the end, but you can put them in at any time. In fact, I encourage you to put them in as you think of them rather than waiting until the end, because you won't forget that way. The presentation will be recorded and will be available. You can check out aibd.org/education, which is where it will be, as well as many of our past presentations. Thank you for attending. I need to make sure that we're recording, which we are. And so this next bit is for the recording. That was like that was the part that only you get to hear. That's why you come to hear all that. Good afternoon and welcome to the American Institute of Building Design's Tuesdays at 2 presentation. The AIBD is a nonprofit association dedicated to the enhancement, development, and recognition of the residential and light commercial building design professional. We are building a profession one designer at a time by providing education and resources such as building designer certification, specialized BIM training, regional conferences, and presentations like this one today. These are all a part of our continuous quest to provide relevant information to those who are currently practicing or simply just interested in the building design disciplines. The first step towards taking advantage of all of these opportunities available is to join our email list at aibd.org/newsletter. A lot of you probably are already there because that's how you find out about these things. But if not, please go sign up. I work very hard on it. I send it out every Monday. For those who intend to submit CEUs, you will receive a follow-up email, which will include a link to a digital certificate. Just click on the My Certificate URL. It's going to open in a new browser. You can save it, or you can just forward it if you need it for us. You just forward it to CE, as in continuing education, at aibd.org. You can also fax it to us if you have one of those, 866-204-0293. That number is also available at aibd.org. If your name is too long, it's going to be cropped on the certificate, but don't worry, if your name is that long, we probably know who you are. The comments expressed in today's presentation are those of the participants and not necessarily of the American Institute of Building Design. Now we can get started with the real fun stuff. This month's presentation is by Mike Kissee, FAIBD. He's going to tell us what we need to know about all of the important Florida Building Code updates that are going to take effect January 1st, coming up in just a few months, 2021. Mike, it is all yours. Take it away.
Hey, thank you, Garrett, and welcome everybody. Garrett said I'm going to tell you all of the code changes. We don't have enough time for that. There's roughly 69 pages of changes just in the residential code section only. Today, we're going to try to hit just the few significant ones that are going to affect you and your plan changes as the code does go into effect on January 1. I do want to point out and give kudos right now to Mr. Joe Belcher. He is with JDB Code Services. He is FHBA's code consultant. If you ever have a question on a code or need clarification on a code, he is always available. And the best way to reach him is 411code@fhba.com. Again, that's 411code@fhba.com. Okay. So, Garrett, see if I can get this work. Here we go. If you hadn't ordered your code books, you can now. They are available. You can just go out to ICC Code and order directly from them. Additional references that are being used in this code this year or this tri-year. Of course, it moved from the ASCE 7-10 to now it's the 7-16, and the rest of the additional references are listed here for you. We will have this, as Garrett said, available to you, and also at the end, I'll have a slide showing where you can email us directly, and we'll actually have a white paper code research paper that you can use in making your plan changes. Okay, so the first one was table R302-1 on exterior walls. If y'all remember, we had a little issue the last code change when they came out and was telling us that we had to fire resistant rated our soffits. They did go in there and change that. It no longer has to be a UL label for that. You will be able to use fire retardant treated wood in lieu of a labeled system for your soffits if you're within that minimum 2 feet soffit to soffit. This is a good one. Back, if you remember, in the 2014 code, we were limited to stair rise of 144 inches. In the next code change, they moved that to 147. Now they've changed it up to 151 inches. So you have 12'7" now from floor to stair, floor to floor, to be able to work with. That came through with the increasing depth of the floor systems, which will now let you eliminate the use of a landing that we had in the past. Taking a lot of time, guys, if you would. I'm not going to get, there's 3 pages of solar energy systems. That's in section R324. It's been really expanded. One of the biggest things they're looking at now on your roofs is to make sure there's emergency pathways for fire and rescue. So if you have a 2-story that's over a 1-story, you got to be real careful now that the solar systems are not blocking any egress windows that you may have. So the fire departments are looking at that real hard. Roof loads, you know, for the solar systems are pretty light, not much more than your standard live load, but do take a chance and look at that roof access and pathways that your building departments will be looking for. Next, there's some clarification in the code. Used to be that the exterior footings was on the virgin grade, which was not really what the code said, but it was literally taken that way through a bunch of the AHJs. Now it is clearly noted that it could be from 1 foot below the finished compacted grade. So that may help you guys if you have any issues with depth of footings and large depth footings from there. So there's a couple of the good code sections to help us out. Wind resistance to soffits. Going to ASCE 7-16, you're going to find multiple areas now where in the past we used to have 3 to 4 zones on a house. Now we have up to 5. If your overhangs are more than 12 inches, you're going to have to be looking at the strength of that vinyl and may have to be putting in additional nailing bracing through the bottom of your overhangs to be able to attach your soffits to. They found that losing your soffits is one of the biggest issues with losing your roof when it comes to hurricanes. The next one in regards to overhangs is that no longer can you have a overhang on your gables unsupported of more than 12 inches. So it's now down to 9 inches on there. If you want to have a larger overhang, you must use a drop gable so that you can run it back to that second truss to have a complete lookout rafter from there. Okay, so this is section 803 is the prescriptive method. This is where everybody's getting clogged up with the new code, because it's telling us what size sheathing we have to use now in the different wind zones and wind speeds. So your engineer can use the alternative provisions in the engineer design. Our group has looked at this over and over. We probably have 80 to 90 man hours already put into trying to figure out the plywood and what we're going to be able to use to go across multiple wind zones. We haven't been too successful on that yet. Your engineer may be able to help you out on there. It also talks about the nailing has now changed along with the thicknesses of the sheathing. So here's your major change in the prescriptive design. So if you're in exposure B, okay, up to 140 miles an hour, you'll be able to use 7/16. I don't think any of you guys are below 140. Some of you may be. Up to 150 mile an hour, you'll be at 15/30 seconds. Up to 180, you'll be at 19/30 seconds. If you jump to exposure C, where most of our subdivisions are located, up to 130 miles an hour, you're 15/30 seconds. Up to 170, you're at 19/30 seconds. And exposure D, you're at 19/30 seconds, or at 180 at that. So there's different types of ratings, as you guys know, with your plywoods. 7/16 comes in, an exposure 1. It also comes in a structural 1. If you're familiar with your zip wall panels, you'll find that the zip wall is a structural 1 panel, and so it's going to actually be greater than the 15/30 seconds panels that you'll find throughout. So really look at your ratings, work with the engineers on this, because if you work with builders that are crossing over in wind speeds and stuff, they may have to use multiple different types of plywood to be able to meet that current wind speed. We see this as an issue, especially with production home plans, on making sure that they're going to get that right in the field. So take a lot of time and really look at that section from there. Your nailing patterns are going to change. If your exposure B, you're now going to be 6 on the edge and 6 in the field. Exposure C, up to 160, 6 and 6, up to 180, 4 and 4. And then exposure D, you're going to have up to 140 miles an hour, 6 inches on the edge and 6 inches in the field. And then 180 again is 4 inches and 4 inches in the field. Spelled wrong, but that's okay. All right. This is again is your roof sheathing attachment. You'll see in table 803.2.1. Just read just what I just told you guys on the other table there. Just make sure that you have your plans noted as such. Okay. On your underlayment, okay. So in the past, we've gone through this in the last code section with whether it's type 15, type 30. Now all the underlayments are going to be required to meet the ASTM D 226 type 2, your ASTM D 48069 type 3, or type 4 and ASTM D6757 or synthetic underlayment meeting the performance requirements. So now you'll find there's 5 different methods of protecting the roof system here. And all this stuff is coming from Michael and Irma from the last hurricanes, where they found that most of the damage was coming from the houses that once the first layer of shingles came off, there wasn't enough underlayment to protect the roof decking from leaking through into the house. So they come up with 5 systems now. Okay. Method number 1, the entire roof deck shall be covered with approved adhering polymer modified bitumen underlayment with 2 sections or 2 deck layers on that. The second method is that every joint must be stripped with a 4-inch wide membrane. Okay, and that's complying with D1970 and an approved underlayment to go across the top of those roof coats. So you get they're actually looking for a double underlayment on all of your roof coatings this time. Okay. So method 3, there again, a minimum 3 3/4 inch strip over your there, and another approved underlayment in accordance with the table R905.1.1 for applicable roof coatings. And then method 4, you can have just 2 layers of your ASTM D226 type 2 or ASTM D489 underlayment there, or 2 layers of reinforced synthetic underlayment that has been a product approval as an alternative to the underlayment. Okay. The next one is a fairly minor one. Most of you guys are probably already doing it. I don't even have it on the slide. But for your dryer vents, no longer can they be screwed together. They have to be mastic together, and they cannot be deformed. So they have to have a full 2x6 wall behind your dryers or direct outlet to the outside for that. So from there, those are really the 8 or 9 major significant codes that we've looked at that's going to affect your plans throughout this. If you need help on that, we'd be more than glad to help you. Or like I said, we can go out to JDB Code Services at 411code@fhba.com, and Joe would be able to help you on that. And if you'd like a presentation of this or some of our other stuff, you can contact Danielle at dmoore@fdsengineering.com. So Gary, that's our significant items that we have, and we could open it up for questions now on any other part of the code that somebody may want to talk about. Did I lose Gary?
So far, we don't. Oh, here we go. Michael would like to know, where do I order the full book of all 69 pages of changes?
On the 69 pages, that's going to come from Joe Belcher. I'll see if I can get you a copy of that from there. But the ICC, in conjunction with the FHBA, is putting out a significant change to the code booklet. That should be out at the end of this month, and the cost on that's going to be $55, and that will come from the ICC and FHBA. And what I'll do is, if you'll send me an email as soon as that becomes available, I will get that out to everybody. And my email address is mike.cassie@gocassie.com. And it's like I said, as soon as that's available, I'll get that out to you.
Cool. I just put his email in the chat, so you can just copy and paste it from there. John would like to know, or would like you to describe the extra soffit framing.
Okay, so what we've shown in the past, John, is that normally into the midpoint, I don't have that up right now, of your overhang, you will drop down a 2x4 leg through your broads through there, and then run another 2x4 parallel with your fascia around the perimeter of the house. And that's generally will handle the halfway mark of your soffit. That answer that, John?
We are awaiting responses. Let's see. Chris and Craig just dropped questions. Oh, Chris pointed out that you can get all the information. I'm going to put the link in the chat because it's way too big to read. Craig asked, with the change in the ASCE, does it affect how window pressures are calculated?
Not so much the window pressures. They didn't really go up, but it's more of your roof. And so what you're going to find in AS 7-16 is that instead of having 4 different areas into your roof, now you will have probably 6 different nailing patterns. Remember that the low corner of your hip roofs is where you're going to get the greatest amount of wind resistance. Now they've ran that same area in the bottom corner of that roof all the way up to each of the ridges. So your nailing patterns are going to change up on your ridges as well as on your eaves. So that's where you're going to see the biggest change there. The wind speed on your roof is more or less affecting, let me see, how can I say this? The sucking side of the building now. So it really put a lot more pressure on the uplift on the opposite side of the wind direction of the roof. So the sucking power is higher now. Thus, that's what's causing the increasing in the increased nailing and increase of sheathing thickness was from that ASC 716.
All right, follow up from John. So the framing is a perimeter placement, or are we specifying intermediate framing between eave overhangs?
Well, you could probably get it. You probably figured it either way. You just have to have a midpoint nailing pattern or screw pattern to your soffit based on the pressure that whatever they're buying is going to be able to use. Most of the vinyl that we found can't span over really 16 inches. And so when you start getting your overhangs out there, you know, so you say you got 16, but maybe you really got 18. That's where you got to have that midpoint. We just found if they just start dropping a short leg off that overhang and run a parallel 2x4 to the fascia, that's the easiest for the framers to do, other than trying to block everything up.
John says thank you. Michael also said thank you. Let's see. Mary asked if you can review the sheathing changes again and show that page.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, right now, most everybody's using 7/16 OSB, okay? And so this is where it really popped up. And I know we're using 7/16 and 160 mile an hour exposure B, you know, right now. Now for us to use the same exposure B up to 160 from 150, 180, we have to take that almost, you know, to a 5/8, being able to use the same on center spacing of your trusses, because it's the 24-inch span rating that is causing the difference in the 2 plywoods. And it's that sucking system that I told you about, is that the plywood is actually pulling up on that suck side of the roof. And so you got to have a little thicker plywood so you can get a bigger nail into it to hold it down. So.
And Alexander asked if you could show the soffit page again.
Did I have that soffit page? So R704.1.
Is this presentation something we can share with people?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
All right, cool. Michael asked to get pictures of some of the charts, but Michael, if you want to reach out to Mike, he can send it to you, so you don't have to screenshot.
No, like I said, if you'll take and email Danielle at dmore@fdsengineering.com, we'll send you a copy of this PowerPoint, as well as, let me see if I can get it. We'll also send you wrong one. Right. I have it. I also have it written out. So you'll also be able to get this as well. A couple things we didn't talk about: the glazing of the doors. You know, it used to say perpendicular, so it better clarifies it now. I don't know how many of you guys are working with decks and porches at a flood hazard. That was one of the changes. But I'll also send this out to you. That's almost a little more comprehensive for you. So just send me that email. We'll get that out to you.
Can you put Danielle's email back up? There we go.
Yes. Yep.
All right, cool. I just typed it and put it in the chat.
Okay,
we got lots of thank yous.
Okay.
Is there any more questions? Anybody?
Cool. I know it's kind of short, but these were the major ones that we had come up. The rest of them were mainly a lot of clarifications and note changes that you have to take care of.
Oops, I missed one. Oh, here we go. I got one from Patricia, and then Craig had a follow-up to Patricia's question. Oh, I lost it again. Here we go. I think this was in regard to the soffit question earlier. She asked if it applies to overhangs larger than 24 inches.
That would be a yes, because you have to be able to brace that soffit in. So definitely, if your soffit's more than 12 inches, you definitely going to have some bracing and blocking in there to hold that soffit in place.
Alrighty, and Craig says that he has a program that calculates window pressures, but it's no longer supported. Do you know if that will be affected?
That I do not know, no.
Brian asked about getting code changes. Brian, you want to send an email to dmore@fdseng.com, Danielle. She will send you all of this, the presentation and stuff. Heather asked if there are any other changes to foundations.
Not that caught our eye. The main thing was this reduction of, we have found, and we complained a lot about the depth of the footings, for the last 3 years, because it was all said, in the AHJs, the building departments were all saying, well, the code says it's got to be virgin, and it's really not. As long as you are getting your proctor test in and you meet the compaction that's required in your area, then the bottom of that footing only has to be 12 inches below the finished grade at that compaction level. So.
The white paper you had mentioned earlier, that's the one that's going to be $59?
No, no. So what, I can show you a quick on it. The, uh, this is what you'll be getting. This is only, I took out the residential code. This is the draft. This is from ICC that we reviewed, and it goes through a very good, upside down. It gives you all the crossouts of the code of all the significant changes that's coming through with it. It's 366 pages. It takes care of the entire building code, but 51 pages of it is just for the residential side only. And so this is what you'll be able to get. The whole 366 pages, whatever it is, will be available, like I said, by the end of the month through FHBA or ICC from there.
Cool. George asked, was the total rise of the stairs the only stair change?
That was significant, yes. They had some, George, on, well, here it is right here, glazing adjacent at the bottom of the stairway. They clarified that a little bit better. So now you can have it, but you got to have the glazing. It goes to the whole, how much glass you can have at a landing, and that sort of stuff. And that's R308.4.7. That's there. That was really the other one. It really wasn't. I just thought that the height was a more significant change than the glazing side of it.
Cool. Got a lot more thank yous. And last call for questions. All right, doesn't look like anything's coming in, just a bunch more thank yous.
All right, well, thank you guys, and we look forward to sending this out to you. And like I said, just get with Danielle and we'll get this returned to you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or, like I said, out to Joe Belcher at the 411 code at fhba.com. We'd be more than glad to help you with any of your concerns. And like I said, if you have anything, we look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And thanks, Mike, for doing this presentation and answering questions for us.
Okay.
If you're new to AIBD, you can get more information about us and our online programs, our live conferences, our certification, our education, all that stuff. You can check us out at AIBD.org. And if you're not on our AIBD email list, you want to go to AIBD.org/newsletter to sign up. It comes out every Monday and has all of the information about all of the things that we do. This presentation was live, but we are recording, and we will post the recording at aibd.org/education. Again, thank you to everyone who was a part of today's presentation, and we hope to see you at the next Tuesday at 2. Have a great afternoon. Thanks again, Mike. I will talk to you later.
Bye. Hey, how are you? Just to let you know, I just finished